welcome to another studio vlog. If you're new here, hi, my name is Holly. I am a book designer and illustrator working here in beautiful sunny New Zealand. This week's vlog is starting a bit late because today's Thursday. Normally I start these earlier in the week, but most of my week so far has just been playing catch up from my trip to Australia last week, and yeah, just getting content together, doing some of my client work, all of that. There's quite a lot to do. I still haven't edited the video from last Friday when I got some footage at the awards, the ABDA awards, and I also need to write an article for ABDA. I need to write another article for Spine magazine about international editions of different books. And on top of that, I've still got to finish up my vlog from this week, which is what you're watching now. Normally I would be at this stage on a Tuesday, and instead it's Thursday. So a bit of catching up to do. What I do want to share with you though this week is the process that I have been figuring out of trying to make my digital work look more traditional, which is a lot harder than it seems. You would think that just using different brushes and making it more like a traditional process would work, but I've really been struggling with this. So I think I have now figured out the best way to do this, and to get that marker texture and the gold ink texture. So I will show you that a little bit later, as well as the drawing that I did yesterday evening at art class when the tutor got out a skeleton and we got to draw that. So that was pretty exciting, and I haven't finished that drawing, but I think it might be worth finishing up because it's a really good exercise in sort of human anatomy and proportions and looking at positive and negative space, all of that. And those are things that I don't necessarily practice a lot in my own work, because if I'm doing client work and things, it's kind of full on, you're just working on that. So instead I've signed up for these classes to just help me to practice. So without further ado, I'm gonna get on with editing this video and I will check in a bit later. I got the video edited and uploaded, and I've written an article, at least a draft of an article for ABDA about the awards, which is good. We're getting somewhere. It's been a very email heavy day so far, lots of back and forth. I've been asked to be the guest Instagrammer on ABDA's Instagram page next month, which is pretty exciting. So I've got to dream up some content for that, and I'm just going to start the Spine article about international editions. It's not really great vlog content though, so I will show you the design stuff, but I'm gonna go and get some food first and let Lyra out of the laundry before she finds any socks to eat or anything like that. I would show you this. Obviously this is just the rib cage and part of the pelvis, but I took a photo, so I should be able to finish this off. Drawing a skeleton is really difficult because you've got a lot of ribs to think about. You've got the positive and negative space to look at, so the positive space being the skeleton itself and the negative space being the space between the ribs and around the skeleton. So yeah, this was a couple of hours of work, and I imagine it's going to take a fair bit longer to finish it off, but I'm hoping I can grab a spare few minutes at some point and do the rest of it. Yeah, I mean, a head would be quite good to include. The other thing I have been trying to figure out for absolutely ages is my process, and trying to create a process that can mimic this look, which is a scarf that I designed a couple of studio vlogs ago. And yeah, how to do this and get very similar effects on the iPad, which I have been struggling with, but I think I have figured out the best way to do it. So I will show you how. This here is a piece of watercolor paper with a bunch of marker over the top. So this is just green Copic marker, and I've done a sort of hatching crisscross pattern to draw that in. And then I did more of a blotchy look, which was actually dropping the ink straight from the refill onto the paper and smudging it around, which gave quite a different effect. And likewise on here, I painted this with just a pink ink that I have, an Indian ink, and likewise with this one here, which is obviously a gold or metallic ink. What I did is I scanned in both of these, or all three of these, and I made them into files on my iPad, which I can then turn into a thing called a clipping mask on Procreate. Basically, it takes this layer, which is gold, so if I take that to a separate layer like that, it looks like this. But if I make a clipping mask of it over the layer that I want that texture to be on, it will do that. So if you zoom in, it has this lovely gold foil texture. Likewise on the leaves, and the background has got that hatching that I showed just before from the markers. Obviously I've changed the colors here, so it's not green, but that's the nice thing about it, is that you can change and switch up colors as you like. So I'll show you another example of this. I did a different color version of the same piece. So this has got that pink ink, which I didn't change the color of much, and the green on the leaves and that dark blue inside. This is a piece that I did for Shelf Love Crate a couple of months ago. It was actually a clutch, so that was the final piece for it, and it was printed onto fabric to be put on this clutch, which was made to look like a book. I tried it out on a few different designs as well to see how they would change. I really like the effect because it's a nice balance between looking a bit more handcrafted and also getting the precision that you get from digital. This here is the piece that I showed in my last video, and I hadn't got very far with it. This is just a part of it that I'm showing here, but I've got a more developed version. Here we go. So this is obviously a lot more developed. I've added in different elements throughout, and I've added this clipping mask effect again. So here we've got the gold, which would look very flat without it, and the texture over the black and the grey. In the background we've got this red. I'm not sure whether to go with that red or the slightly brighter one, but I'll have to see how that prints up onto fabric. Yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with how this is looking. It was a bit of a challenge to develop this further because I had designed it originally as that bookmark design. So it only really went from there to there. And yeah, adding in these clouds, which are a design feature that I sort of played around with. You might have seen it in a video quite a few vlogs ago, where I just sort of experimented with that, and it's become something that I've used quite a bit now. I used it in a client project the other day, and yeah, I really like it as a sort of stylized way of drawing clouds. And of course in this case we've got lots of smoke happening because of the fire and the phoenix. I think it'll look pretty awesome as a scarf. That's as far as I've got with these scarves at the moment. I've still only got the two of the Greek goddess ones, but I have developed this one a little bit more by adding a bit of texture to it, as you can see. And what I've actually used here is the gold texture, but turned it into blue. So it's got a bit of a grain to it, which I like. And then again, that cross-hatching in the background, but I have pretty much drained it of color. So you've got this lovely white background with a little bit of texture to it. So I'm pretty positive about this going forward, actually. I think this might be the way to go in terms of getting that look that I want whilst also being able to work quickly. So this is going to be very similar to the autumn scarf that I showed earlier, except I'm not going to have to fill in all the spaces. I can just literally change the background color and fill in these different elements, which will make life an awful lot easier. If you have any suggestions for scarf designs, or themes that you would like to see in my shop relaunch, which won't be happening for quite a few months yet, I don't think. This is quite a long process because I have to obviously design the things to start with and then order the samples, possibly order new samples if I need to change anything. You know, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think it will be well worth it. Scarves are what I've been focusing on for now, but I'm also planning on doing a bunch of new notebook designs and possibly pencil cases and some other things as well. I think I'll leave it at that today. I've got an awful lot of other stuff to do that isn't very exciting or glamorous. I've showed you the most exciting stuff that I've been up to, and yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get into more of this next week. But yeah, watching me write an article is not particularly thrilling for anybody. Yeah, hopefully next week will be more exciting. Some weeks are just like this, and as I said, because I was in Australia last week, it's put me quite behind on many things. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, Instagram is probably the best place to go. I'm at Holly Dunn Design over there. And if you want to learn more about me as a designer, my process, see more of my designs, all of that, then you can head over to my website, which is hollydundesign.com. And if you're watching this before the 10th of June, you still have time to pre-order notebooks from me, my original notebook designs. Those are going to be going out of stock indefinitely unless the New Zealand postal system changes. So if you did want to get your hands on one of those, now is the time to do it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.